kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills, nights get loud. Big EQB, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it again on a Thursday, ready to go. We got UFC Vegas 108 coming up this weekend, so we got to talk about that. Tatsuro Taira versus, let's see, let me try to say the name correctly. Hyun Sung Park. It's a tongue twister, but I was trying to make sure I didn't say it too messed up. So, I feel like I got something on my face. Yeah, so we're here, ready to go. And it's just another day today that I just make sure that I'm calm and make sure that I think about my actions before I take them. That's the kind of day today was. In all aspects of the day, not just work, not just personal, all aspects of the day. But that's all right. It's a challenge every day to make sure I don't lose my shit and crash out for no reason. So except there's plenty of reason, but you know, it is what it is. And I I like to make sure I practice my patience in all aspects. So yeah. But it's otherwise wasn't too bad of a day. I guess it could have been better. What up, Infinity? And yeah, I'm just glad to be here, ready to go. Things could be worse always. So as far as everything else, it's like all good. I'm just ready to sit here and spend some time chit-chatting about some MMA and combat sports. That's always where I can get myself back centered. And you know, at least if people talk shit on here, I can just laugh it off. But other than that, not a whole lot going on right now. UFC BJJ 2 is happening live. So hey, there's Mom's in the chat. Love you too, Mom. Thank you for joining in. But yeah, UFC BJJ 2 is happening right now. Haven't really been keeping up with that. It kind of got sprung on me. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that it was on. So it's one of those things, you know, they kind of just throw it in there. I know they were, you know, promoting it a little bit here and there, but I wasn't really paying attention. It's been a weird week. So I actually felt like I was underprepared for tonight, but it's just because I got my stuff done quickly. There's not a whole lot else going on. PFL happening. We're going to talk about that one for a quick minute when I get going here. But other than that, just this UFC card happening this weekend. Anything else going on didn't come across my radar, so don't hate me if I'm not covering something that you might be watching, but it is what it is. It's going to be a busy weekend, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here and talk about this one for now. I'm hoping that I get to watch it live, but if, you know, I always have my phone in my hand, so I'm sure I'll be watching parts of it here and there. But we got some stuff going on this weekend. So we'll see what happens. I usually do my my recap show on Sunday when I can, but loosely it's Sunday or Monday. This past week I did it on Monday because Sunday just didn't work for me, and it's not going to work for me again this week. So I will be doing the recap show on Monday. So make sure you come back on Monday, and that's when we'll recap this event, UFC Vegas 108. We got 2 back-to-back Apex cards. So UFC Vegas 109 will be next weekend. And, you know, the Apex cards, man. This one, I wouldn't say it's like a horrible card, but I will say it's not the best. Next week's card is a little bit of the same. Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. So that's not bad. Alex Perez versus Steve Erceg. That could be a good one. Yasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill. Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. Miles Johns versus John Matsumoto. And Eric Anders versus Christian Leroy Duncan. That's your main card for next week's fight. So we'll be previewing that next Thursday, like I am this Thursday for this card. So 2 Apex cards in a row means we're just filler cards until we get to UFC 319. Yeah. which is in a couple weeks. August 16th. That's the DDP versus Hamzat Chimaev card. Looking forward to that one. More than likely doing a watch party for it. So that'll be good. And yeah, just make sure you come back and check out all the shows throughout the week. As far as everything else, do all the normal YouTube stuff for me if you could. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share it with somebody, comment later if you're not on here on the live. If you're on the live, the chat is open. So make sure that you hit me up in the chat. And if you have any comments about what I'm talking about, anything to add to it, questions, I like to interact with everybody. As you can see, I have the chat popped up on the screen. I pop up the most recent one when it comes through. So yeah, just a little bit of fun, a little interaction. And yeah, today I did a little something different that I remembered I had. It's been a minute since I've done it, but I got this little tin here, and this is filled with little wood chips, and it's actually cherry flavored wood chips. I got myself a nice little torch. I've had all this stuff, I just forget about it. So then I have this that I actually have wood chips in already, and it's a nice little, looks like an Asian style hat for my drink, but it goes on here, and I'm actually gonna smoke my drink real quick. Sounds funny because I'm not smoking anything, but I'm in, oh, there, I put the light on. I'm turning off the fan so I don't blow stuff everywhere. There we go. So yeah, this is just infusing my drink with some smoke, and it's a little bit crazy because we got this big ass torch. Infinity wants to try it. Maybe next time you head up here, Infinity, if you do at any point, we can give it a shot. There's your crazy torch, and we'll start flaming that up. Get us some smoke rolling in here. I think I got this torch a little bit too high. It's a little scary being close to all my stuff here, but you can see that smoke infusing in there. And there we go. I did use it. I use this torch for, oh, I hope no smoke detectors go off. But yeah, I used the torch also for creme brulee. I do like to cook. I used to do that for a living. There we go. Nice little smoky drink. But I used to be, I don't want to say a chef. I wasn't that official, but I led a line for cooking, and I did a bunch of cooking and stuff. So I like to bake stuff, cook stuff all the time. And yeah, creme brulee has been one of my favorite things to do recently. And you need a torch like that to make that crispy little candy kind of crust on top of the creme brulee that you break open when you start eating it. The shit is damn good. So yeah, the torch is used for that too. I don't have it just for this. But there's your nice little smoky drink. Tastes damn good too. The smoke goes away pretty quick, but infusing it with smoke means you're going to get that flavor in the drink, especially on the top side. And it kind of gets on the ice too, so it sticks around. Sometimes it's a little overbearing if you do too much of it. I didn't have a lot of space in the cup, so it didn't catch a lot of smoke, but I don't like it too smoky. I don't know if you ever had mezcal. It's got that real smoky flavor. I don't like that too much. So a little bit of smoke infusion is good. But yeah, and my old fashions, a lot of people love them. I like them. That's why I make them all the time. So, it goes well with that. But anyway, there's that. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and shout out Noctane Smelling Salts, my sponsor, as usual. And while I have the fan off, so it doesn't blow anything away, which means I'm going to get a nice blast of alertness here. I got this pretty new bottle. And I haven't taken it out of this room. I haven't been taking it with me. It's too hot outside. If you leave it in the vehicle while it's hot, it kind of wears it out. So you got to be careful with that during the summertime, especially if you're in Arizona like me. So I've left it in here, and I'm keeping it nice and fresh for when I'm here doing the podcast. So I'm going to go. And I haven't had to travel. That's a lot of times what I use it for as well. So until I do, I probably won't take it out of this house because it's too damn hot outside. So let me get a nice big whiff of this. And I'm scared. Oh, there it is. Actually makes me want to go in for another one. Ooh, I didn't even have to get too close. Oh, I forgot to close my eyes. Oh, so Clark brought up a good Clark brought up a good idea, which is to make a compilation of reactions to smelling salts, especially when we do them on the watch party. And I can actually incorporate my reactions here because I tend to get real crazy whiffs when I'm in here by myself. So anyway, that's Noctane smelling salts. It's not as harsh. If you get some of the lower bottles, you still get that good kick, but it doesn't have to be as harsh. This is the most potent bottle. It's the red cap. Be careful. If you're brave, do it. But thank God you weren't doing that when I was. But you had your own bottle and you were doing it at home, so you got a little taste. But he had the black cap, which is the mid range, and then there's a white cap, and that is your entry level. So go check out the website. It's a good one. There's a QR code. You can hit that up, or there's a link in the bio below. Link in the bio. What the fuck am I talking about? Link in the description below. This isn't Instagram, but no one can see me cry here. I know I let people see me tear up all the time, but yeah, thank you to Noctane. Appreciate the sponsorship as usual. My logo is on the bottom portion of their main page of their website, so go check it out and you can see my logo down there saying that they sponsor me, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, appreciate that, Noctane. So that's it. I smoked my drink, which sounds funny, but I infused my drink with some smoke and it tastes damn good. I hit the smelling salts, and now let's get to some combat sports news and UFC Vegas 108. Here we go. We'll start off with that PFL that I was talking about. The finals for their World Tournament Championship Series is happening tomorrow night, Friday. And while I haven't been following this super closely, only because I don't know, PFL, it was kind of interesting when they were doing the like $1 million purse, and they just changed that up this year. It seems to me like they've been losing a lot of their talent left and right. So, you know, I kind of have my feelings about PFL. They promote, but not in the craziest ways. You know, I get, no, not everybody has the billions of dollars that the UFC has, so it's tougher to promote. But my biggest problem is that they just make it so difficult to follow and remember that it's happening. Yeah, you follow them on social media and stuff, but even that stuff doesn't come to your, you know, come to the front page of everything that you're looking at all the time. And, you know, that's just because it's not wildly popular. All the hardcores, like all the guys at CST, they know what's up with PFL, but I know not all of them follow it closely either. Shout out to CST, by the way. Combat Sports Today, that's who I collab with. And if you go to their social media, you'll see a CST staff's pick for UFC Vegas 108. I'm a part of that. You can see my picks that I made somewhat on the fly. I was already looking into all the fights, so I had a little bit of research behind it, but we all know how I am about my picks. I am not the best, and I don't claim to be. I overthink it, and I just tend to guess incorrectly. As Infinity always says, bet against my picks, and that's usually true. So I always think about like, oh, everybody's gonna go with this one, so I'm gonna kind of go against the grain a little bit, but I did my picks, and you can see them on Combat Sports Today's social media pages, X, Instagram, Facebook. They have it all. So yeah, and I collab with them. That's how I get my fighter interviews. They hook me up with fighter interviews, and I've done a few of those, so you can go back on my page and here on YouTube and check it out. So back to PFL. So we have the tournament finals happening tomorrow. Top of the card, we have undefeated Thad Jean versus Logan Storley. That's your main event in the welterweight division. We got Movled Kaibulev versus Jesus Pinedo in the co-main event for the featherweight division. And then you got Asael Ajuj versus Yves Landau in the featherweight division as well. So just the main and co-main are the tournament championship fights. And then you got a regular card underneath it. So I don't even know the structure of all of this because they've changed everything. I kind of knew how they were doing things before, but they kind of changed everything up when they came to this season, because they do seasons and they do, yeah, it's strange. They tried to, you know, do it like mainstream sports, and I feel like it hasn't really been the best way. But, you know, it's still another combat sports organization, MMA organization, and, you know, you have some recognizable names. Thad Gene is definitely becoming a star over there. Logan Storley is well known. Jesus Pinedo, definitely seen him fight before. Kaibuleyev, it sounds familiar. I'm not really sure. Who else do we have here? Not a whole lot of other really recognizable names to me. So, I mean, unless you're a true, like, hardcore fan of all of MMA altogether, you might not know a lot of these guys. So that's what makes it a little tough. And again, because their promos and stuff their promotion's just not the strongest. And it's kind of like, you know, Bellator back in the day, which they've integrated with Bellator. They took them over and absorbed all their fighters and then lost most of them. So it's tough out there for any other organization other than the UFC. But, you know, there's a lot of pretty good fighters that are still existing in PFL and going for that, you know, tournament championship and trying to win that. It's now $500,000, which sounds pretty good, right? But when you're doing a tournament style thing, you kind of having to fight a little closer in time than you're used to. And then it's always a toss up of who you're going to fight. You know, it's either going to be fighter A or fighter B, stuff like that. Tournaments are cool, but the way that this one is set up, it's a little weird, I would say. So parts of me is not, you know, not the most interested in all of it. So yeah, I just like to cover it because it is PFL. It is one of the other, you know, more known and bigger organizations in MMA, them and one championship, but they're both kind of in the same boat right now where they're just struggling, and who knows what's going to happen in the future, especially when the tournament winnings go down. That's always a bad sign. Maybe they're just like, we can't give $1 million to every single weight class, so they cut it in half to kind of kill the spending so much, maybe. But they're also losing a lot of big name fighters, so there's some of their budget coming back to them, I guess, in a way. So maybe that's a good thing. 305 Chunks, what's up, bro? Welcome back, appreciate you. So yeah, PFL, it is what it is. I don't know really how far I can go into it. I could go into it a little further if I really took some time, but you know, they kind of sneak up on you. It's like all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, that's this week. And while there's a world tournament going on, and you know, they just had PFL Africa that happened not too long ago. Johnny Eblen lost that one. And I don't even remember who it was that he lost to. That's a damn shame because it was a crazy upset. But that was a fun fight. I saw parts of that fight that happened, and it was actually a pretty interesting fight. So yeah, I mean, they're expanding out, but if you remember, who would you rather have in your corner, Will Smith or Neil deGrasse Tyson? Well, I would say, you know, Will Smith might be the quick pick for most people because Neil deGrasse Tyson seems like a bit of an older gentleman and maybe not so athletic. But what I know of Neil deGrasse Tyson is that he was a pretty decent wrestler back in his days, and he was seen on camera during some podcasts doing some wrestling maneuvers with Matt Serra, and he would overthink it. You're damn right, Infinity. I do that all the time. But yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson has some skills in wrestling, and because he's such a smart dude, he's retained that knowledge, it seems like. Tell you how he's going to choke you while he's doing it. Exactly. He'll tell you how he's going to choke you while he's doing it. But no matter what kind of shit you talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson, he does have some wrestling skills, and he's a bigger dude. So he's going to have some he might have some good leverage on some people. So I will say I would probably go with Neil deGrasse Tyson in that one. Who would you go with, 305? You never answer these questions I always ask you who would you go with, and I never get the answer. I don't care, it's fine, but I'm always curious as to which way you would go. Who would you have? Will Smith, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Infinity? What about you? I know Will Smith likes to slap a fool, but how far is that going to take him, right? And on top of that, it's not the slap fight league, so Will Smith would get snapped in half. Exactly. But I mean, I guess 305 is asking, who would you rather have in your corner? I don't know if that means to back you up or to like actually corner you in the fight. So Tyson for 20 bucks. So yeah, I mean, that is a little bit of a toss up as to the context of what he means there. But either way, I'd probably go with Neil deGrasse Tyson either way. Anyway, enough of PFL. Let's head over to UFC Vegas 108. Clark, he's not here. I don't know where he is. Probably doing something stupid. Yeah, let's move over to UFC Vegas 108. Tatsuro Taira versus Hyun Sung Park. Tough name, but we got it. So this was a late replacement fight, considering it was supposed to be Amir Albazi fighting Tatsuro Taira, but apparently he got injured, and so we didn't have like a real true poster. Usually they have the different layouts of the posters, which I use a lot of times. You know, the more like widescreen layout poster, like the size of this one I have on the screen now, but they didn't really have one out there for it because of the late replacement. And so I made my own, and this is also my thumbnail, I'm sure you saw. But anyway, Taira versus Park, pretty cool. They had this whole like orange, you'll see it in a minute, it just says fight week. That's the only thing I saw out there that they made. But that's what happens when it's like on the fly. A lot of times they get it done, and who knows, it's still only Thursday. We have until Saturday. They'll probably have an official poster out. They probably have it out at this point, and I just missed it. But either tomorrow or Saturday for the fight, but it's okay. I made my own, and there it is. So Tatsuro Taira versus Hyun Sung Park should be a good one. Park is undefeated, 10-0, and Taira's was on a pretty good streak until he met Brandon Royval and lost that fight. So we'll get into that here in a minute when we get down to the main event and we start talking about that and previewing that in depth. But that is your main event for this card, UFC Vegas 108. But yeah, let's get started at the bottom. And here's your prelims. And there's that other poster I was talking about. So as you see, I kind of took a little bit of what they were doing there and, you know, made it my own. But sometimes you got to get creative, because if you don't have something readily available, I usually use them just so it's recognizable, you know, because a lot of people are looking for the fights, any content on the fights, and if they see the poster, they recognize it from what they've seen on social media and any other research they've done. So when they notice the poster, you know, it kind of catches your eye and you wonder what's happening with this video. So that's why I use that and try to keep it along the same lines or use the same poster. Plus it's the official poster, so you might as well use it, right? Anyway, we start off this fight for, what is this, the third fight in a row, maybe fourth fight in a row with the women to begin the card in the prelims. And what's weird is I actually heard on a podcast earlier they were calling the Austin Bashi versus John Yanis, which is at the top of the right hand picture, they were calling that the first fight of the night. But if you look at the lineup on UFC events, when you Google UFC events, it starts off with Piera Rodriguez versus Ketlin Souza, which is what I have there, and that's why I said they're starting off the night. But Crooked Letta, hey, what up? Welcome in. Neil deGrasse Tyson for the training camp. Will Smith for the corner because he can use the acting skills to motivate you. Oh shit, 305 putting in the thoughtfulness on that one. Yeah, hey, that's not a bad call actually. So yeah, But anyway, so yeah, it's kind of a toss-up because I know that what they were reading off of earlier is what I'm looking at now, which is the Tapology breakdown. And Tapology always has things in crazy orders. You never really know. You never really know which one's correct. I usually try to go off of the UFC official page, and most of the time that actually follows when you just Google UFC events. It puts it in the correct order. So that's usually what they follow on the night of the fight, and so that's what I'm following here. But we got Taira Rodriguez fighting Ketlin Souza to start off the night. Rodriguez is 3-2 in the UFC and 10-2 overall. Souza is 15-5 overall, 2-2 in the UFC. And if you remember Souza, she's actually got some pretty heavy hands. She's got some good striking, but yeah, I mean, she's got a 2-2 record, so it's kind of tough. You know, the women, it's always hard to break them down, and because a lot of times you're just thinking, okay, we're going to decision here. There's absolutely no way around it. As far as Rodriguez, she's got 5 wins by decision, 5 wins by KO TKO, and none in submission with 1 loss. So, you know, if you're looking at that, she likes to stand, or, you know, it gets all the way through to the 3rd round. She won her last fight against Josephine Knudsen by unanimous decision, as I said. And that was back in December of last year. So she hasn't fought this year, but she's taken her first fight against Ketlin Souza, which should be a pretty tough one for her there. This is in the women's strawweight division. And Souza is 2-2, like I said, coming off a loss to Angela Hill by split decision, though. She has 2 wins by submission, but 2 losses there as well. She's got 8 wins by KO TKO and 2 losses there, and 5 wins by decision as well. So yeah, looking at that, I mean, hopefully they stand and throw and exchange, and it could be exciting. I mean, we've seen a couple knockouts by the women in the first rounds of the past few fights, so it'd be cool to see that continue on, with this being the only fight with the women on this card. Moving on, we got Rafael Estevam versus Felipe Bunez, and that is in the men's flyweight division. We got Estevan undefeated, 13-0. So he's looking to keep that record going. He's got 2 fights in the UFC. He's 2-0 there with unanimous decision wins over Jesus Aguilar and Charles Johnson, coming from the Contender Series where he got a TKO win in the 2nd round. And then he is fighting Felipe Bunez, who is 1-1 in the UFC, coming off a win over Jose Johnson by submission. He lost to Joshua Van in his first fight in the UFC. That is a tough first opponent. That was January of last year, and we've seen how far Van has gone, getting a title shot here coming up soon. So he lost to one of the best in the division right now. So that's not too bad. But in January of this year, he won against Jose Johnson by submission in round 1. So this should be a pretty decent fight in the men's flyweight division, and that takes us to Austin Bashi versus John Yanis. Yanis is making his UFC debut. He is 9-3 overall. Austin Bashi 13-1 overall, 0-1 in the UFC, but he's got some good talent that makes it look like he might be able to shine through here if he can get his first win against the John Yanis making his UFC debut. I'm curious to see. I know I watched Austin Bashi's last fight. I just don't remember who his opponent was. So let's see. Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod. That's a tough first opponent. That happened in January of this year. He fought in the Contender Series last year, where he got a rear naked choke submission win in the 2nd round. So, you know, he's trying to come in and get his first win in the UFC, and he's trying to keep Giannis from getting a win in his debut. So hopefully this will be a good one as well in the men's featherweight division. And that brings us to, see, all of these are in crazy order. This is strange. So I'm wondering what the order is going to wind up looking like when we get to the actual fights on fight night. but usually they follow the order that I set up here. So we'll see what happens. But we have Nick Klein versus Andrei Puleyev in the men's middleweight division. Klein is 0-1 in the UFC, and so is Puleyev. So both these guys are looking for their first win in the UFC. Both of them not looking to go 0-2 in the UFC. Klein got a TKO finish. What's the latest with John Bones Jones? Well, let's see. He retired after being harassed about fighting Tom Aspinall. So he ducked the shit out of Tom Aspinall and just decided to retire. Says he's the GOAT and he doesn't have to do shit if he doesn't want to. So he officially retired. And then some news came out the same night he announced his retirement that he was mixed up with some chick that they got into a car accident, and apparently he fled the scene, and this chick was like half naked, not his wife, and and he fled the scene and was threatening cops and was apparently super inebriated of some sort. So who knows? Him and Connor out on an island somewhere. Yeah. And so now, and then the White House or Trump talked about, damn, another puffy. Yeah. So then Trump talked about having a fight on the White House lawn. And then he said, "Oh, look, I have a new reason to fight. That's my will to fight, is to fight at the White House next year on 4th of July. So then he said he's back in the testing pool, which I doubt he ever left it, and saying that he's back. So I guess he's unretired. Who knows? But Dana White already said that he can't count on someone like John Jones to show up and make it to the fight with something as big as the White House. So, and it sounds like the White House thing sounds like it's fake, right? But it's legit. I mean, they're really trying to make that happen, considering Infinity, he's a bum. Yeah. So, I mean, you can't deny his talent and his skills and what he's done in the sport. But the thing is everything else outside of the sport, he dropped dirty a couple times, so he's got that on his record as well. And he still is the youngest UFC champion ever. He holds that record still, and he's got a lot of impressive wins, and a lot of people still claim he's the GOAT. But I wouldn't call him a bum. He's only lost 2 fights due to disqualification. I think twice. They all taken drugs. Well, I mean, some people do say that. Nate Diaz being one of them. But if you're dumb enough to get caught, then that's an asterisk on your entire career and legacy. So him and Anderson Silva have that, and it kind of sucks because they were both considered GOATs. But he's only lost one official time, and that was by the 12-6 elbows that were illegal at the time. So yeah, you're right about that. It was only once though. But DC is good, but cries too much. Damn, Nate Diaz too well. Yeah, Nate Diaz didn't drop for dirty for steroids. He just said everyone is on steroids except for him. But yeah, so I mean, John Jones claims he's undefeated. The other time that his fight with DC got reversed was they just called it a no contest. He didn't actually get that loss. So DC wound up getting the belt because, well, basically they had to, because John Jones dropped dirty, they had to, strip him of the belt, which made DC the champ at the time. So that's why there was always that bullshit between him and John, because John Jones always said he was a paper champ because he didn't really win the belt, which I get, but he went on to fight a lot of good fights against a lot of good opponents, and he won. So what does Dana really think of Jones? I think he thinks he's a pain in the fucking ass, but he can't deny the fact that of all the greatness that he's had in the UFC, I think we all know what Dana White thinks of John Jones. He's the fucking GOAT. Bring on the hate. That's what he says all the time. Here comes all the hate. John Jones is the GOAT. It's like, yeah, sure, you can consider him the GOAT in the category of I've been tested dirty for steroids. If you want to keep the asterisk there, or if you want to go in a category that has asterisks next to their names, sure, he is a GOAT. But if you go in the, legitimate category, doesn't matter if he can beat all these people, he's not a GOAT compared to everybody else when you look at it, because he had enhancements and all the other shit that he did too. But none of that matters when it comes to fighting, but the PEDs does matter. So that's just my feeling. I know a lot of other people that feel that way as well in the MMA community. So yeah, I think Jones kind of killed his legacy a little bit by ducking Tom Aspinall and just, not wanting to fight all the time. It's like you should have, and holding up the division for over a year, all that bullshit. So yeah, that's John Jones. But thanks for the question, because as you can see, I went off on it and I had a lot to say about it. And that's okay, because that's what I like about the interaction with everybody in the chat. It's always fun to do. So appreciate that, Crooked Letter. And back to the fights. So yeah, we have Pelaea versus Klein in the men's middleweight division. And they're both looking for their first win in the UFC. So that should be a good fight. Next up, we got shit. Oh, there it is. Rodolfo Vieira versus Tracion Gore. This dude, Tom Good. Oh, you good? It's been a minute since I tapped into MMA. Oh yeah. No, I get it, man. Some people in and out. It's all good. But yeah, Tom Aspinall's good. He's the current undisputed champion because he was the interim champion, and John Jones was ducking him for so damn long he had to actually defend his interim championship against Curtis Blades, and he won. So two-time interim champion for Tom Aspinall, and then John Jones decided to retire, so now he's the undisputed champ, and he has a fight lined up with Cyril Gane coming up over the next few months. I don't remember exactly when. Later on this year, though, he'll be fighting Cyril Gane, which we saw John Jones just run through. So hopefully Cyril Gane has gotten his takedown defense a little better, because Tom Aspinall can definitely take him down if he wants to, but he can also probably beat him on the feet. Cyril Gane's a good athletic dude who's fast, and he has a lot of skills in different areas, but Tom Aspinall is one of the better moving heavyweights. He's very athletic as well. He's quick, and that's not what you see a lot out of heavyweights, especially guys at the size of him. So he's got a good chance to beat Cyril Gane. That'll be an interesting fight. That's the one we all kind of thought was going to happen once John Jones decided to retire. So it'll be a good one, but everybody wanted to see Aspinall and Jones. So we'll see what happens if John sticks around and actually grows the set and decides to fight the winner of that fight to see if he can get his belt back. It wouldn't surprise me if he did beat Tom Aspinall, but I want to sit here and believe that I don't know if he can. And I think that's why, part of the reason why he just was so reluctant to do it, because he knows that it's the younger, hungrier guy that has a lot of skills that John Jones possesses as well. And since he's getting up there in age, it's like, is he really gonna, like, how good of a challenge is that gonna be for him? Is it gonna be too much or what? Seems like we want to see our heroes fall. It's not even that. We don't have to want to see John Jones fall, because he fucking fell, got up, tripped, fell, got up, threw himself on the ground, got up and fell again. So we don't have to want to see him fall. He falls all on his own. He's just like Conor McGregor. So no matter how, it's like the better they are, the fucking worse they do outside of the cage. And they see that money ran from the police. Yeah, he's run from the police multiple times. There's no that's what he does. Off topic, but Mayweather was at Scottsdale Mall yesterday. Oh no shit. The hell's he doing in Scottsdale? Yeah, I want to say someone else was around here that I was kind of surprised to see. Yeah, I stopped tapping into Connor also. Showing what off? Buying the mall. Yeah, it's just like, why does people come to Arizona a lot, and it's kind of weird, because it's like, I don't really know. I mean, maybe the weather, but it's like, I guess Scottsdale is one of those uppity type places that people might want to go to. You know, showing off the TMT. Connor on that coke. Oh yeah, 100%. If you see him at BKFC while he's doing these announcements and face-offs and shit, oh my god, it's the most obvious thing you could ever see. Do you know the process for getting a media pass? If so, have you considered getting one? I don't know the process. I've heard from certain people that it's fairly easy, but at the same time, I've also heard that it's not that easy because the UFC is very careful about who they let in, because they don't want all of the bullshit of stupid questions and stuff like that. So they kind of try to, I don't know, filter certain people out of there. I know that for other media members, but I don't know how they feel about randos and lower level people like me. I mean, I'm just here doing this because I like talking about combat sports and MMA. So I know a lot because I follow it all the time, and if I'm not watching it, I'm looking at stuff about it online, or I'm listening to a podcast that is about MMA. So that's I stay tapped in as much as I can. But I would love to get a media pass. That would be sick, honestly. Connor and Jones would make a good Hangover 3 movie and throw Tyson in there for shits. Dude, that would be the perfect matchup. And then you gotta throw Mayweather in as the third guy, and then Mike Tyson will just be that cameo like he has been in the past. That shit would be funny, and definitely drug and alcohol fueled with all the semantics. But yeah, we got Rodolfo Vieira versus Tracian Gore in the men's middleweight division for the next fight. Vieira's 5-3. Gore is 2-3 in the UFC. 10-3 overall for Vieira. 5-3 overall for Gore. Let's see. Vieira is coming off of a loss to Andre Petroski by unanimous decision. Mayweather funding the trip back to Vegas or Dubai. Mayweather can fund everything. But unless he's as bad with his money as people say, but you never know. Before that loss, he was on a 3-fight win streak, which was pretty impressive because Vieira had wins over Cody Brundage, Armin Petrosian, and Derek Brunson. That was a grappling event. So in the UFC, he was on a 2-fight win streak, and both of those were performance of the night bonuses for Vieira. He had 2 submission wins, both by arm triangle choke, and then he grappled Derek Brunson in ADXC and won ADXC, and won that one by arm triangle choke. So he's coming off of 3 competitions that he won by arm triangle choke, 2 of those being in the UFC, getting performance of the night bonuses. That's pretty impressive. And then he lost to Andre Petroski by unanimous decision. So he might be searching for that submission coming up here against Tracian Gore, but that might be tough to get an arm triangle choke on Tracian Gore because that motherfucker has like no neck. It's hard to tell in that picture you see there, but yeah, when you see him, he's just like no neck motherfucker. Anyway, he's coming off a loss as well to Marco Tulio. That was a TKO loss for him back in April of this year. Before that, he was also on a 2-fight win streak with submissions over Antonio Tricoli and Josh Freemed, one by guillotine and one by standing guillotine, and he got a performance of the night bonus on one of those as well. So I mean, both these guys are gonna be looking for submissions if you look at how they've won recently. But so it could be a ground fight, and hopefully it's an interesting one, because sometimes those get kind of boring. It's kind of like chess, get to a stalemate, and then you're like, what are we doing? Can we get some fucking action going on here? But you never know. Both high level guys, and it could definitely be interesting. So we'll see what happens there in the middleweight division. And then the last fight on the prelims will be why is it in such bad order? I don't understand. I can't even find. Oh, there it is. Rinya Nakamura versus Nathan Fletcher. Nakamura is 9-1 overall, 3-1 in the UFC. Fletcher is 9-2 overall, 1-1 in the UFC. This is happening in the men's bantamweight division. And like I said, it's the last fight on the prelim card. Nakamura is coming off his first loss in his career to Muin Gafurov by unanimous decision in January of this year. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak with wins over Carlos Vera, Fernie Garcia, and Toshiomi Kazama, which he got a performance of the night bonus on that one there. 2 unanimous decisions and 1 TKO. So he was also in Road to the UFC, where he got two finishes there, 1 by sub, 1 by TKO. So, you know, he's pretty well rounded, got a little bit of everything going on. And then you got Nathan Fletcher, who's 1-1 in the UFC, coming off a loss to Colin Lochrain, which that's a tough opponent there. So, you know, it's not like the easiest fight ever. That was in March of this year. Split decision loss for him there. Before that, he had a win over Ziggy Montes Ramaska, and that was a submission win for him in that one by arm triangle choke. He was in the Ultimate Fighter before that and had a win over lost to Con Ofley in the Ultimate Fighter. So yeah, it should be a good fight to lead us into the main card, and we will get to that now with our first fight. Danny Silva versus Kevin Vallejos, I believe is how you say that. And yeah, as you can see, why does he look so damn, that face, the what do you call it, the facial hair makes him look way different than his picture here. He looks way younger. I was like, what the hell? Anyway, Danny Silva, 10-1 overall, 2-0 in the UFC, 5-0 by KO TKO, no wins or losses by sub, and 5-1 by decision. As you can see, he's not been stopped at all in a fight yet, so that is that's a good stat there, because Kevin Vallejos has also never been stopped on the feet. He's 11-0 by KO TKO, so he's got some hands on him. That's what he's probably going to be looking to do, but he also has 2 submission wins while Silva has none, and he's 2-1 by decision. They're both coming off of wins. So we got, there we go. We got Silva coming off a win over Lucas Almeida by split decision, and then a win over Josh Kulabau by split decision as well. So both of his fights in the UFC have gone to split decision. He is coming from Contender Series as well, where he got a unanimous decision win there. And then we have Vallejos, who is coming off a win over Sungwoo Choi. He's only got one fight in the UFC, and he got a win on that. It was a round 1 TKO over Sungwoo Choi. He is coming from the Contender Series, where he also got a first round finish there, a TKO on that one. So he's going to be looking to get that quick finish, while Danny Silva, you know, is going to be looking to just get another win and keep up that 2-fight win streak he has going. So we'll see what happens there with that first fight. Going into the next one, we got a vet, a couple of them actually, because both these guys have had a decent amount of fights. 11-5 for Zaleski in the UFC. So yeah, he's got a few fights there. 25-9 overall, and then you got Neil Magny, 29-13 overall, 22-12 in the UFC. It's a lot of fucking fights between both of them. So a couple vets here, 37 and 38 years old. Magny 8-4 by KO TKO, 4-6 by sub, 17-3 by decision. So that's something to look at there, because on the flip side, you got Zaleski with 15-2 by KO TKO. So we've seen Neil Magny get caught and dropped and finished on the feet. So that's definitely something that you have to take a look at if you're looking at betting these fights, especially with this one, because it's either decision for Magny or KO TKO for Zaleski are the ways that they both win the most. But then Zaleski also has 3-2 by submission and 7-5 by decision. They're both coming off of losses. Neil Magny on a 2-fight losing streak. Neil Magny is such an up and down fighter. It's like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win. That's kind of how his whole record goes. It's crazy. He actually hasn't had 2 wins in a row since 2020 was the last time he had 2 wins in a row, and that was to Li Jingliang and Anthony Rocco Martin. So since then, it's either been win, loss, win, loss, win, loss until these last ones where he had 2 losses in a row, and that was to Carlos Prates, which fighting nerds, man, you gotta give him some credit. With Carlos Prates, even though he lost that last fight that he was in, you know, he's still very, very talented. And when it comes down to it, that entire fighting nerds team is a scary bunch, and you're definitely gonna have to be on your A game when you fight them. But he also lost to Michael Morales, a youngster who has a pretty impressive record so far. So, and he got a TKO'd by both of these guys. So there's something else important to pay attention to there if you're betting, because we saw Zaleski's record on the feet with those 17 finishes by KO or TKO, and Neil Magny got TKO'd in his last 2 fights. So that's something to pay attention to, and I made a mistake there when I picked Magny to win this one. But what I was thinking was, okay, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. We don't really see him lose more than that. Actually, that's the first, no, back in 2013, he had 2 losses in a row. But usually he doesn't get multiple losses in a row. This is only the second time in his career that he's had 2 losses in a row. So I'm thinking he's due for a win if you look at the pattern of his record and what he usually does against guys that are not technically high level. Michael Morales is considered that because he came in with a bang, and he's he's just one of those young guys. He's undefeated, and that's, so I mean, he's 6-0 in the UFC, 18-0 overall for Michael Morales. So I mean, fighting an older guy like Neil Magny, who kind of falls apart when he fights guys that are high level and elite type guys. Michael Morales is on the cusp of being all of that. So being undefeated like he was, that was a tough one for Neil Magny. I like Neil Magny a lot, but he does tend to just fall to the guys that are hot right now, and that's just kind of where he was with these last 2 fights. Carlos Prates, fighting nerds, I mean, everybody was so high on them and hyped them so much. There's no way around it. I mean, it was hard to say that Carlos Prates wasn't going to beat Neil Magny just going off of Neil Magny's record in his career. So now he's fighting Zaleski, who's kind of on the same level as him as far as the way that their records go. So that's why in a quick second, I decided to pick Neil Magny for my staff picks for Combat Sports today. And I'm hoping I don't regret that. But, Zaleski's 11-5. He's coming off a loss to Chidi Njokuani, who is a great fighter, but I don't consider him as high level as Morales and Prates. He got a win over Zach Scroggin before that, lost to Randy Brown, who is high level. Randy Brown's got a lot of skills, heavy hands, and he's really quick with those punches too. He's quick on his feet, he's quick everywhere. And that big frame that he has, he's got a lot of power. So Randy Brown's definitely the higher level. He fought Renat Fakhretdinov and came to a majority decision draw there. So, I mean, Benoit Saint-Denis, he got a win over Benoit Saint-Denis by unanimous decision, but I think we've come to see that Benoit Saint-Denis is not maybe cut out for that high level of MMA like we thought he was. I think Poirier kind of took his soul when he knocked him the fuck out, which is tough to say. I hate to say that because I like BSD, and I think he's a great fighter, but I just don't know that he has what it takes to hang with the higher levels unless something changes for him. So, I mean, Zaleski, like I said, on the same level kind of as Neil Magny. He's got more wins in a row than Neil Magny does recently and in the past. He was on a pretty crazy win streak from 2016 to 2019 where he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. Dustin gave him the business. Oh, yeah, he did. That shit was insane. 7 wins in a row from 2016 to 2019, beating people like Max Griffin, Sean Strickland, and Curtis Millender. So I mean, some decent fights there, but that was way before Sean Strickland was, you know, near getting a title or anything like that. So again, he loses to the higher level guys, you know, really back and forth with the wins, losses. So I mean, both of these guys coming off a loss, I feel like Neil Magny historically would be, you know, at the point to get a win right now. So he might be a little more hungry here. Either way, it could go either way, really, is what I'm trying to say. So should be an interesting one, or it could be very boring, considering Neil Magny likes to stifle people, and when he sees that he has the upper hand on stopping all of their attacks, he will kind of, and if he finds a way to get in and take someone down or pressure them against the cage, he'll hold them there. So that makes it a potentially somewhat boring fight. Who would you rather start a business with, Jesse on Fire or Luke Thomas? 100% Luke Thomas. I agree with a lot of Luke Thomas's takes, and I feel like he's a way more intelligent and in-depth analyst. I was gonna say analysis, but his analysis are way more in-depth. But I mean, I don't know if you ever seen his breakdowns and stuff. They're pretty damn good. And while some people might find that boring, I find it super interesting, and I like to be a little bit in the middle of both of those guys, because Jesse on Fire, that's his name for a reason, and that's because he just kind of crashes out on everything. He's one of those really like Connor level fucking Connor level like activity when it comes to the way he talks, the energy. I don't think he's on the level of drugs that Connor's on. I wouldn't say that he's on any at all. Maybe some Adderall. He looks like an Adderall guy, but he looks like he has a lot of anxiety outside of what he does. But yeah, he looks more of like an Adderall guy, but his takes are a little off to me, man. I mean, I don't know if you've listened to him and Brendan Schaub go at it with the I don't know what they call that show, but they're doing a show now, kind of like Demetrius Johnson and MMA Guru have their little, you know, Mighty Guru show. Well, Brendan Schaub and Jesse on Fire kind of doing that similar type thing. So I don't know, they're only doing it like once a month or some shit like that. But I mean, it was pretty good, but Jesse on Fire just takes it to places and feeds into Brendan Schaub's bullshit that he spews sometimes. And I feel like it gets a little off the rails. So when it comes down to overall content and what's being said and analysis on things, I would say I would definitely side with Luke Thomas a bit more. But I like Jesse on Fire too for some things. He gets real deep into the drama. Luke Thomas is like a no bullshit type of guy. So I kind of like that, because I'm a little similar to that. But anyway, this should be a fairly decent fight, hopefully, between two vets here. Moving on to the next fight. Oh yeah, so we got a second women's fight. I forgot about this one. Carol Rosa versus thanks 305, appreciate that. Carol Rosa versus Nora Cornelli. I forgot about this fight happening in the women's bantamweight division. Rosa's being the younger one, even though she looks like the older one, which is strange. She's 30. Cornelli's 35. 18-7 for Rosa, 7-4 in the UFC, 4-0 by KO TKO, 2-2 by sub, and 12-5 by decision. No surprise there. A lot of the women go to decision a lot. She's coming off a loss, and Cornelli is 9-2 overall, 3-1 in the UFC, 6-0 by KO TKO. So both these girls like to stand and bang, which is pretty good considering a lot of times the women go to decision and you don't get a lot of finishes out of them. Neither one of these girls have been finished on the feet, so that's good. But Cornelli's never lost on the ground either, 2-0 by submission there, while Rosa has 2 losses in that category. But Cornelli doesn't win her decisions much, where Rosa wins a lot of her fights by decision. Cornelli's 1-2, and she's coming off a win. So let's take a look at those two. Carol Rosa's coming off a loss to Aylin Perez, who has been on a somewhat of a roll lately. She's been kind of doing, just getting some wins, putting together some big wins. And, she's the girl that likes to twerk on people when she wins, which is kind of funny. She's on a goddamn 5-fight win streak. So, yeah, I would say she's on a roll. And Carol Rosa was her last her last fight and win. So that is Carol Rosa's loss that she's coming off of. She had a win before that against Pani Kianzad, where she got a unanimous decision win there. Before that, she was on a 2-fight losing streak. So she's real up and down with her wins and losses as well. She lost to, oh no, that was a grappling. So she had a loss before that to Irene Aldana, but that was a fight of the night. So that was a good one there. And then we got Nora Cornelli, who, like I said, 6-0 by KO/TKO, but her last win was by submission against Haley Cohen, rear naked choke in the second round. Before that, she had a loss to Jacqueline Cavalcanti by split decision. But before that loss, her first 2 fights in the UFC were wins over Jocelyn Edwards and Melissa Mullins, a unanimous decision, and then a TKO. So she's looking to extend her wins in the UFC here and not get her second loss. Chris Fresh, she kicked that girl from being right-handed to being left-handed. Holy shit, Chris Fresh coming in with the fucking hilarious take. I appreciate that. That was a good one. She sure the fuck did, by the way. So yeah, on this one, who did I pick for this one? Oh, right on. Yeah, that shit was fucking funny. I don't remember who I picked on this one. I think, no, I picked Cornelli. That's right, because of the fact that Carol Rose is so up and down with her wins and losses. If you look at the pattern of what she's done, she's basically due for a second loss before she gets to win again, and that's really all I was going off of. She was going win loss, win loss, win win loss, win loss loss, win loss. So I'm thinking loss loss, right? That's kind of what I did on my quick analysis, plus just looking at the rest of those categories and seeing what they've done in the past. So yeah, I went with Cornelli on that one. And with the Magny and Zaleski fight, I picked for those staff picks, I picked Neil Magny. I think I said why. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Next up, we have Esteban Ribovics versus Elvis Brenner. I went with Ribovics on this one. I'm not exactly sure what I was going off of here. The fact that he hasn't been finished on the feet or on the ground. But I mean, if you look at Elvis Brenner, 11-0 by submission. So he's never been finished on the ground either, but he's got 11 submissions. I mean, when he gets to double digits in any of those categories, I start to pay attention, especially if you have a 0 in the loss column. So, I mean, that's partly what I was looking at here. I mean, both these guys are like weird in the decision column. 2-2 for Ribovics, 2-4 for Brenner. Brenner has been finished on the feet once. He's 3-1 there, while Esteban Ribovics is 7-0 by KO/TKO and then 5-0 by sub. So pretty good stats on that one. He's 3-2. They're both 3-2 in the UFC. 14-2 for Ribovics overall and 16-5 for Brenner. And I think just because he hasn't been finished at all and only lost by decision is why I went with Ribovics. We saw him in a pretty good war over at the Sphere when that fight went down. I think when he fought Daniel Zellhuber. So I was also looking at that or remembering that one. But yeah, Elvis Brenner is on a 2-fight losing streak, and he had losses to Joel Alvarez by TKO and then Miktabek Orobai by decision. And those were his last 2 losses. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak with his first few fights in the UFC. He won all of those. 2 of them by performance of the night, got performance of the night bonuses. Those were his 2 TKOs. And then his first fight in the UFC was a win by decision. So, I mean, he just got on a little bit of a skid here with these last 2 losses. And then he's fighting a tough guy in Esteban Ribovics. And that's kind of what got me to pick Ribovics in this fight, because I don't know, man. It just doesn't look good for Brenner unless he gets him on the ground. But, you know, all these fights, they start on the feet. So you got to look at that stat, man, that KO/TKO when you're looking at the at making picks or betting. So Ribovics is coming off a loss to Nasrat Hakparas by split decision, though, and that was a fight of the night. The fight before that was the one I was talking about before against Daniel Zellhuber, where he got a split decision win there as well. Also fight of the night at the Sphere. So his last 2 fights have been fight of the night bonuses, which means we could have some fireworks here. The only thing is he lost one and won one, and they were both decisions. So, you know, it could go either way here. Brenner has that ground game, but Reba Vix has never been finished. So if it gets a decision, it's a hell of a toss-up for sure. On the feet, I think Reba Vix has the advantage, and on the ground, just because Brenner has those 11 finishes there, is the reason why I give him that advantage. So kind of an even thing here, but like I said, all the fights start on the feet. So we'll see if Reba Vix can take advantage of that and really get to Brenner before he can try to take him down, or they wind up on the ground for any particular reason, and then Brenner starts to do work, get the position, and possibly sink in a submission. That's how he can get that win. So next up we have I already forgot. Mateusz Rebecki versus Chris Duncan. Funny enough, I was noticing this last night. My buddy Ray, this Rebecki in this picture looks like my buddy Ray. It's fucking weird. Every time I see his picture, I'm like, what the fuck, man? This is crazy. It's like, looks like it could be his non-identical twin brother. They look fucking similar. It's strange. I wish I had a picture to put up there side by side. But anyway, we got Rebecki versus Duncan. Both of them coming off of wins. Duncan is on a 2-fight win streak. Rebecki is 20-2 overall, 4-1 in the UFC, 9-2 by KO TKO, 7-0 by sub, 4-0 by decision. So he's been finished on his feet. He's been in some bloody wars though, so that's the thing. So he'll definitely stand and bang with you. 305 Chunks says, does Rogan owe Shab for seemingly convincing him to switch his career? You mean does Shab owe Rogan? Because that's how that went. Shab owes Rogan a lot for everything that Rogan did for him. But I don't know, man. It's one of those things. Maybe Shab just kind of needed to push. Rogan just gave him some tough love, and it went viral because that was kind of the beginning of things really going viral. And yeah, that that had a big effect on Shab, I think. While Shab has some good takes on a lot of things, I do listen to all of his shows. I've listened to The Fighter and the Kid since damn near the beginning. And then and I followed him when he was on The Ultimate Fighter season 10, one of the best seasons out there. That was the one with Kimbo Slice and fucking Big Country, Matt Mitrione. All kinds of motherfuckers came out of that season. Kind of like season 5. Season 5 was Nate Diaz, and yeah, I mean, we know season 1 obviously was crazy, but then we got a bunch of good guys coming out of 2, 3, and 4. But season 5 was nuts because we had Nate Diaz. I mean, I can't even list. I can't even remember everybody that was on season 5, but there were so many people on season 5 that was coached by BJ Penn, and why do I always forget his fucking name? Little Heathen. No, that's Jeremy Stevens. What the fuck is his name? Anyway, he's the dude that does the watch-alongs and shit all the time. Who cares? Season 5, season 10, good seasons of The Ultimate Fighter if you ever want to go back and watch those, along with season 1. But anyway, yeah, Shab owes Rogan a lot for everything he did for him. And yeah, that's really all I can say about that. But Shab has done a lot on his own. He's made a name for himself in the podcasting world. He didn't do so well in comedy, but you know, he's a family guy now. So, but his content is still pretty good for the most part. Anyway, back to this lightweight fight. Rebecki versus Duncan. Do you think a public podcast was the best time to give such advice? At the time, maybe not. If that would have happened 5-6 years down the road, it was the best time. But it proved to be the best time either way, because Rogan's show was just barely starting to get as big as it is. It was like the beginnings of really getting bigger. And on top of that, Shab was pretty popular for his own podcast and the fact that he was still fighting at the time. So I don't know so much that it was on the best terms for that to happen, But also, I guess Rogan tried to do it without being on the podcast, and Shab insisted that it happened on the podcast, whatever he had to say. So I don't think it was supposed to go down like it did, but I think because Shab was being such a pretentious fuck at the time and thinking he was way better than he was, and Rogan had to put the smack down and play daddy for a minute and give him some tough love. That's kind of what needs to happen with some people. You know what I mean? So infinity like that one, I guess. But yeah, sometimes, I mean, Shab, I think it was probably more appreciative of the fact that happened. As you know, I don't know if you remember the famous line of, you know, I think you'd be surprised. And Rogan said, I think you'd be surprised, when talking about the fact that Rogan thought there was no way in hell that Brendan Schaub could match up with Cain Velasquez and have it be any kind of a challenge. So yeah, I think Schaub needed that tough love at the moment. It was about time for him. He got knocked the fuck out by Travis Brown right before that podcast happened. So why do I know all this? Because I've watched fucking nobody asked me that. I'm just thinking to myself, people probably wonder why I know all this, because I've watched Rogan for a long fucking time and followed all the people that he's brought out and brought up. And you know, Schaub and Kellen were kind of one of those guys with the Fighter and the Kid. The Fighter and the Kid was like one of the first podcasts out there that that involved like a fighter and a comedian. So it was kind of a new thing, and you know, they got pretty big. And honestly, listening to that podcast and a lot of the stuff that happened there, not Schaub himself, I'm thinking more like the community of people that you know, like that show and kind of were around it. And the way that show went down and some of the people that Schaub works with is part of the reason why I was so into podcasting and that I like podcasting so much, along with Rogan, obviously. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Anyway, I got way deep into that. Back to the fight. Chris Duncan, 7-1 by KO TKO, 3-1 by sub, and 3-0 by decision. Both these guys have not lost a decision fight, so that's an interesting one. Chris Duncan, 2-fight win streak, like I said. They're both 4-1 in the UFC, and they're both 32 years old. I mean, the similarities are kind of crazy in this one. So let's take a look at the breakdown of this. Rebecca is coming off a win to McTybeck Orobai as well, and that was a split decision win. That was that bloody ass crazy fight, which you see in the picture on the right. Yeah, that was a bloody fight. It was crazy. Orobai's eye was fucking blown up, not as much as Yaya's eye was blown up this past weekend, but it was pretty big and nasty, and there was blood everywhere. Both these guys were banged up. Fight of the night win for Rebecca in that one, and it was a split decision because Orobai probably dropped Rebecca as well throughout that fight and obviously bloodied him up too. So before that, he had a loss to Diego Fajeda by TKO, and before that, he was on, when he got into the UFC, he went on a 3-fight win streak with wins over Nick Fiore, Leok Radzhabov, I don't even know who that is, and Roosevelt Roberts. So yeah, he only has one loss and he's coming off a win, so he's looking to stay in that win column. And then we got Chris Duncan, who I picked actually for the staff picks for CST. He's also only got one loss. He's on a 2-fight win streak with submission wins over Balaji Oki and Jordan Vucenic. And then against Oki, he got a performance of the night bonus there. Before that, he had the one loss to Manuel Torres, and he was on a 2-fight win streak when he got into the UFC with wins over Omar Morales and Yanel Ashmuz. So in the UFC, he's gotten 2 submission wins and 2 decision wins, and then lost once by sub as well. So kind of interesting. No finishes on the feet, win or loss for Duncan. So this could get down to the ground and Duncan could find his way into a submission there. But Rebecca, as we've seen, gets into those bloody wars. And if Duncan can't hang with that, maybe Rebecca stops him on his feet before they even get to the ground. So this could be an exciting one for sure, especially with Rebecca coming off that crazy win over Orobai. we'll see what happens. Chris Duncan's looking to extend his win streak to 3, and Rebecca's looking to get 2 in a row. We'll see who comes out of that. The winner in that lightweight fight. That's your co-main event. That brings us to the main event, so we can wrap it up here in just a minute. But let's oh shit, I was just showing, I didn't even show Duncan's fights, which you can see the submission there, and then the big punch to the face. Obviously got skills on both, but yeah, like I said, if he gets to the ground, he's pretty dangerous down there. So this could be pretty interesting fight. Here we go. Main event, Tatsuro Taira versus Hyun Sung Park, which is hard to say too much, so I will just call him Park. Because then it's a tongue twister, man. It's tough. But yeah, Park is, I mean, Taira is 16-1 overall, 6-1 in the UFC. Got his first loss in his last fight. First loss of his career, first loss in the UFC. As you can see, he's never been finished on the feet. He got that loss by a decision. And that was his last fight. He's 4-1 by decision, 7-0 by sub, 5-0 by KO TKO. Park is coming in undefeated, 10-0, kind of like Taira was before he got that fight, or that loss in his last fight. But Park's only 3-0 in the UFC. 4-0 by KO TKO, 5-0 by sub, 1-0 by decision. He's on a 3-fight win streak, but more than that, obviously, because outside the UFC, he's 10-0. But he's only had 3 fights in the UFC, so I only count those. So he's 3-0, or he's on a 3-fight win streak. So let's take a look at Tatsuro Taira, coming off that loss to Brandon Royval. Tough opponent, fought for the title, you know, top of the weight class for sure as far as talent in that division. But that was a fight of the night against Royval. So I mean, he got a bonus that night, even though he lost a split decision. Before that, he was undefeated before that. That was his first loss ever. Had the win over Alex Perez, and that was also a performance of the night bonus with the TKO win there. And then he's also beat Carlos Hernandez, Edgar Chairez, Jesus Aguilar with a performance bonus there, and then CJ Vergara with a performance bonus there as well. His first fight was against Carlos Candelario, unanimous decision with that one. So yeah, 1 loss for Taira versus the up-and-comer Park with no losses. Undefeated record overall, undefeated in the UFC, 3-0. With wins over Carlos Hernandez, Shannon Ross, and Sung Choi. So I'm not saying racial slurs. I'm reading the name, goddammit. All right. That's his damn name. I just figured that sounded kind of bad. Anyway, yeah, 3-0. And then let's see, 2 of those, 2 out of his 3 wins have been by submission, 1 by TKO. So he nothing but finishes in the UFC for Park. As you can see, Taira likes those high flying knees and stuff, but Park has a little bit of everything with the 1 TKO win, 2 submission wins in the UFC, undefeated overall, has gotten bonuses in the past, as well as Taira. So I mean, this could be a really interesting and exciting main event. Park is coming in on a short notice because Amir Albazi was the initial opponent for Taira, and he got injured, so that one went away. Let me take a look at Taira's, let's see, where is he? Not Taira, Albazi. He's 5-1 in the UFC, but he's coming off of a loss to Brandon Moreno. So I mean, Taira and Albazi got their first losses from either a champ or a former champ and a former title contender. So I mean, yeah, they're losing to the highest levels. But I mean, Albazi has wins over Kai Kara France, Alexandre Costa, Francisco Figueiredo. So I mean, yeah, that would have been a fun fight too, but unfortunately Albazi got injured, so that fight's off, and now he's fighting the young Park at 10-0, undefeated. So it should be a good main event and a decent card overall, I think. So let's get to the fight wheel predictions before we wrap everything up here. And I want to take a look at what's y'all thoughts on PFL? Man, that's what I was talking about earlier. PFL is one of those things it could have been great. I think they kind of fucked it up by taking over Bellator and then not following through with contracts and stuff with a lot of those big name fighters coming from Bellator. Took them way too long to try to get them fights, and a lot of them just bounced and demanded that their contract get released so that they could go somewhere else, and a lot of them have wound up in the UFC. They haven't done very well in the UFC, but I mean, I think PFL is good in the way that it does have some stars, but the problem is their promotion. Like, they don't promote very well, and on top of that, they lowered their tournament winnings from $1 million to 500,000. Still a lot of money, but when you cut the winnings in half like that, a lot of people are disinterested. Everyone was making a big deal about the few years that they did the $1 million purse for every weight class. Everybody that won their division got $1 million, which was dope, especially because, you know, we're constantly talking about fighter pay being unfair and all that shit. So they had a good thing going for a minute, but I mean, it's real like generic, you know. They don't let them wear whatever. They try to give them was a good concept, just crap execution. Yeah, exactly. That's how a lot of these organizations are. It kind of sucks, but yeah, I mean, they're real. It's like real cookie cutter shit, you know. They wear some really plain shorts, and I mean, that's the way fucking UFC is too, but at least they make it interesting a little bit. So who wins between Jones and the African dude? Sorry, can't remember his name. Starts with an N. Oh, Ngannou. Well, I don't know, and I don't know if we'll ever find out, because Ngannou went over to PFL and has only fought once there, and he's had some weird shit go on in his life, losing a child, and then he killed a woman on accident, unfortunately. And I mean, it was a motorcycle accident or some shit. But he's had a lot of trauma, so I don't know when we're going to see him fight again. But if you match him up against John Jones, I think John Jones would struggle with Ngannou. I don't know if Ngannou can keep up with the speed of Jones and the real awkward kind of striking that he has and the length. But if Ngannou lands a punch on Jones, I don't give a shit how good Jones is. I don't know that he can fucking hang with a big punch from Ngannou. Yeah, killed a woman, exactly. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not joking. Like, that's actually what happened. It was some crazy shit. Jones is brittle and away from the game too long, plus the way his pockets are set up, he don't need to. Yeah, he doesn't want to take, he said he didn't want to take the chance against Aspinall. I don't see him taking the chance against Ngannou either. He drug his feet on that shit too. You know, when they were able to try to make that, I mean, he could have made himself available, and he fucking didn't. And I don't know, maybe he was scared after he saw fucking Ngannou damn near decapitate fucking Alistair Overeem. If you remember that fucking uppercut shot to Alistair, holy fuck. If you want to see a damn crazy knockout, go check out Francis Ngannou versus Alistair Overeem. That was fucking insane. And one of my favorite knockouts ever, because Alistair's kind of a pain in the ass. So I like him. I respect his skills, but he's kind of a dick. So yeah, go check out that fight. Ngannou fucking damn near took his damn head off. It was crazy. Anyway, getting back to the fight wheel, my predictions for last week, pretty nuts. Not my predictions, the fight wheel predictions actually came through 5 for 5. We had Shara Bullet getting the win in the co-main event. RDR got the win in the main event. Guskov got the win. Asu Almabayev got the win, and Pyotr Yan got the win. So, oh no, Bullet was the third one down. Yan was the co-main event. So yeah, the fight wheel went 5 for 5 last week, which is insane because that never one So, yeah, let's see what the fight wheel has for us this week. And we got way more fights. We got 6 fights on the, not way more, one more fight on the fight card. Oh, I got to get rid of, let me get rid of the picks from last week. Right on 305. Appreciate you for always jumping in and interacting and the good questions. Let's get rid of these names and make room for the new ones. All right, let's get this fight wheel going. First fight of the night, fight wheel predictions. I do this randomly because I suck at making picks, so we'll see how I do on the staff picks for combat sports today. But for now, we got Esteban Ribovics getting the win. So let me put that in here. There's that one. And his opponent is... Wait a minute. Why did I put Ribovics in here? He's not even on the main card. What did I do? Is he on the main card? Oh yeah, I'm on the prelims. Man, it's been a long day. I'm fucking up over here. Okay, Ribovics versus Brenner. So I got rid of Ribovics. Let's get rid of Brenner. There we go. All right, sorry, I a little glitched out there. Here we go. Next fight. Ribovics with the first win. Next up for the fight wheel predictions, Elizu Zaleski beating Neil Magny. So if it goes the way that the fight wheel predicts, I'm going to lose that one when it comes to my picks. But because I picked Neil Magny, so we have Zaleski for the second fight wheel prediction of the night. Let's go to the third one, halfway through. Nora Cannoli or Cornoli for the win over Carol Rosa. That's who I picked in my picks, so that's good. 2 for 1 so far, along with the fight wheel predictions. Next up, fourth fight of the night. Let's see what the fight wheel predicts. Chris Duncan over Mateusz Rebecki, I believe. Yes, and that's what I picked as well. Not too bad so far as my picks compared to the fight wheel picks. Two more fights left. Let's see what the fight wheel has for us. We got the main event left and the first fight of the main card, which is Kevin Viejos versus Danny Silva. The fight wheel predicts Viejos to win. That's who I picked as well. And that leaves us with the main event. Let's see what the fight wheel predicts for the main event. Tatsuro Taira versus Hyun Sung Park. Oh shit. Park for the win. And guess what? That's who I picked as well. Park to stay undefeated against Tatsuro Taira in the main event of UFC Vegas 108. Those are your fight wheel predictions. Ribovics, Zaleski, Corneli, Duncan, Viejos, and Park. The only one I didn't pick on that from my staff picks for Combat Sports today was Zaleski. I picked Magny. So Magny and Park were my, and Corneli were kind of my off picks that I wasn't sure about. And the fight wheel predicted all the same ones except for Zaleski. So which fighter is most likely to spend a day at the museum? That is an odd question, sir. I have no idea. Spend a day at the museum? Shit. Well, let's end this because we are done with the fight wheel predictions. I don't know, man. That's a tough ass question, honestly. I'm trying to think of like more intellectual type nerdy guys. Maybe Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He seems like that real nice, wholesome type dude that would go to a museum and enjoy himself. I don't know. That's just a toss up. Now, who do you think? 305. That's what I want to know, because I'd like to know, considering it's hard for me to even come up with anybody. Throw that in the chat real quick before we end this, but I will start my outro music because I'm going to wrap this up. So, yeah, you have UFC 108, UFC Vegas 108 this weekend, PFL tomorrow night, UFC BJJ 2 was on tonight, so go check out the highlights for that, see who won. I saw a couple good submissions happening as I was seeing highlights come through before I started here. Thanks, Infinity, appreciate you. And yeah, UFC Vegas 108 starting 6 p.m. for the main card, Arizona time. If you Google UFC events, it'll pop up a little square for you and it'll tell you what time. If you have your location turned on, it'll tell you what time in your time zone the prelims start and what time the main card starts. For me, it's 3 o'clock for the prelims, 6 o'clock for the main card. So don't miss it. UFC Vegas 108. Don't forget to come back on Monday, not Sunday, but Monday. I'm going to a concert on Sunday. I forgot who I'm going to. It's because I'm going with my wife and my daughter. Who is it? I don't remember. Who gives a shit? Anyway, he's a good singer. It's just not like something I would definitely go out of my way for. I'm just going with them because they got me a ticket, so I'm going. They want me to drive, basically, which is what I always do. It's all good. I have fun with them. So I'm going to a concert on Sunday night. So that's why I won't be doing the recap show then. I'll be doing it Monday. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Family time is priceless. No doubt infinity. That's why I don't mind doing it. But yeah, that's it for me. Come back on Monday for the recap show. Next Thursday, the dude 4 fights ago with the yellow shorts because he looked like Cro-Magnon man in the evolution of human. He came from the museum. I wish I could fucking remember who you're talking about, but that makes a lot of sense. I can think of a few guys that have that look to them, so that's pretty funny. So thank you, Chris Fresh, coming in with the comedy. That shit was funny, made me laugh. Infinity, as always, appreciate the support and everything else. 305 Chunks having a good time laughing at us as well, and thanks for the good takes and questions. Let's see who else was in here. I think that was it. Crooked Letter as well. Appreciate all you guys, my mom, my wife, everybody. Thank you guys for the support. Come back on Monday. Check out the recap show for UFC Vegas 108. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.